to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. Monday, the Department of Justice announced a myriad of charges against former Kansas City Police Department Detective Roger Golpsky and three other men, Celie Brooks, Lamarck Robertson, and Richard Robertson. The group of men alleged to have been kidnapping young black girls and holding them in involuntary servitude. The disturbing crimes are alleged to have taken place from 1996 to 1998 at the location in Kansas City. The four men held multiple young women as slaves at several units within Delvin Apartments, according to the DOJ. Quote, one of the units was a relaxed area where young girls used alcohol and drugs with the defendants, and another was a working house where some girls were compelled to perform services for adult men who visited Delvin. According to the indictment, Brooks, Robertson, and Robinson provided drugs to the girls in the working house who were addicts. They also allegedly beat and threatened to beat the girls who did not agree to provide the services in exchange for shelter, drugs, or clothing. Golbsky used his badge to provide cover for the human trafficking operation and eventually became involved in the operation. Once he fully submersed himself in the operation, Golbsky allegedly had an affinity for young black girls, according to authorities. Quote, at Delvin, defendant Roger Golbsky primarily chose young black girls ranging in the ages of 13 to 17 years old to submit questionable activities and to provide services to him. Quote, at Delvin, defendant Roger Golbsky primarily chose young black girls ranging in the ages of 13 to 17 years old to submit things and provide services to him, according to the DOJ. Brooks, Robertson, and Robinson are also charged in substantive counts with holding a young woman identified as person one in a condition of involuntary servitude, and Brooks, Robertson, and Golsky are charged in a substantive count with holding another young woman, person two, in a condition of involuntary servitude. According to the indictment, from 1996 through 1998, Brooks provided a location in Delvin Apartments in Kansas City where young women were held and where Brooks, Robertson, and Robinson used physical attacks, assaults, and threats to compel young women to provide services to men. The detective Golbsky is alleged to have accepted money from Brooks, provided protection from law enforcement from the criminal activity, including trafficking and forcible activities on the young women and young woman identified as person two. The first count of the indictment charges all four men with conspiring to hold young women, including person one and person two, in a condition of involuntary servitude. The second count charges Brooks, Robertson, and Robinson with holding person one in involuntary servitude and forcing her to provide services to Robertson. And the third count charges Brooks, Robertson, and Golbsky with holding person two in involuntary servitude and forcing her to provide services to adult men, including Brooks, Robertson, and Golbsky. So again, um, this is where we are, right? Where you heard that this cop used his badge to specifically go after young black girls, right? In between the timeline of 1997 to 1998. I'm sorry, 1996 through 1998. And this is what they specifically did. They sought these young black girls out. And this is the law, right? He uses his badge to, give these guys protection. He was getting his own little cut, you know, here and there by, a variety of means. And as they stated, he submerged himself directly in this criminal activity. And this is what I keep telling y'all, that a lot of these cops are in on a lot of these criminal activities. It don't matter if it's dealing with drugs, don't matter if it's dealing with a lot of these rings, right, that are directly out here. It doesn't matter with the trafficking and the trades that are going out here. It doesn't even matter if it's dealing with organs. These cops are directly in and a part of this. They're getting cuts. Like I told people before, you're not going to tell me that there are quote unquote good cops and there's just a few bad apples. Well, if we all remember anything, a few bad apples spoils the bunch. That means because apples, strawberries, and a variety of fruits, they have thin skin, right? They're soft types of fruit, right? So if you have any type of mold or any type of fungus, it's going to jump from that one apple that's deteriorating to every single apple. So you got to throw everything out because everything is now infected. You can't sit up there and trust it. Why even risk it? Right? Because you might potentially bite into something that you think is fine, but the little spores are directly on the skin that you can't see because they're microscopic. So then once that enters in through your bloodstream, that's going to have a variety of effects. So again, why risk it? Just throw out the whole basket. That's the exact same thing with the police in America. If you got a few bad apples, you might as well throw everything out because everything is infected. It don't matter how mild it is, how small it is, how large it is. Everything is infected. So throw it all out. But yet again, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they're all a part of the exact same corrupt system that they're supposed to be, quote unquote, fixing, that they're supposed to be looking over and keeping watch over and making sure to protect ordinary citizens and people from. But the only thing that they were protecting were the other criminals. That was it. They weren't protecting those young girls. They weren't doing anything to protect those young girls. And like I said before, this is what a lot of these cop supporters are protecting. They're protecting criminals. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not throwing no type of middle line directly out there. Like I said, if there are good cops out there, then they should be doing good things. Other than that, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. This is what it looks like. And I keep telling people like, yo, stop sitting up here telling your kids out here to trust directly in law enforcement. Stop doing that. Stop telling them to trust law enforcement because there's no reason to trust it because next thing you know, they'll be sitting up there walking the strip. They'll be out here, going around, apartments, doing little jobs here and there. And it's all because, hey, people told them to, trust the police, trust the boys in blue, all this other type of stuff. Like I said, whenever I do stories like this, where are all of those people that's like, oh, thin blue line, protect the blue wall, and there's always good cops out there, and like, where are all of those people at? Where are all those true Americans at? Because, like I said before, they always turn a blind eye to stuff like this, but then they always want to try to highlight all the good stuff. Notice how all of those people, right, during the whole thing of the protesting against police, right, when black people were protesting and speaking out, notice how all the true Americans showed up. And they were like, "Oh, you guys, if you just hate the country, then you can leave. You can go to a variety of other places." Remember all those Caucasian people that are like, "Oh, there's going to be a war coming. Let's sit up here and play this game. Let's sit up there and do 24 to 48 hours of no police on the streets and see what's going to happen to these cities. And let's see if y'all not out here begging the police to be back here patrolling the streets." Right? They was talking all this type of big stuff, all this big stuff. But yet when stories like this come out about cops, oh, they're nowhere to be found. They're not saying nothing. And all of them got daughters. All of them got kids, but yet magically they're nowhere to be seen or heard at all. Not a peep. Not a peep. But let some protesting happen and watch these guys, these individuals start showing up. Watch all of these cops want to start, showing up with their badges and want to sit up there and talk about, oh, this badge is, it might have mud on it. It might be this, but this badge is still clean. This badge is still shut. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Because a lot of y'all need to get prosecuted. And the only reason that the public thinks that any of y'all are actually any type of good is because whatever bad you guys do is within the house. The public isn't allowed to know. And that's the shameful part. Let's put some laws out there where if any of these cops have a record or have done any type of thing, oh, the public knows about it. Let's see how many actual good cops there actually are. Watch those numbers start falling drastically. And watch people start coming up with a field of excuses. Oh well, these are certain circumstances. Well, he got caught up. Well, these cops are undercover. Some psycholo. It's going to be a lot of talking. It's going to be a lot of gibberish. A lot of talking, a lot of gibberish. Like I said, and to the other women out there that always want to say that other men, they really care about young black girls and black women. Uh, good luck. Good luck, because that's not anything that I specifically heard directly in this video, and especially from the guy that has an affinity for young black girls.